Professor Black Ops, cybersecurity for the people. You see it, let's get it. Several malware families targeting IIS web server with malicious modules. So if you look at the diagram on the screen, we have legitimate visitors, compromised PC, search engine crawlers, backdoor module, info stealer module, injector module, proxy modules, and SEO search transit fraud module. Of course, CNC command and control where you actually get the malware. So scenario 1, direct connection to the back door. Scenario 2, compromised IIS server exfiltrates, intercepts traffic. Scenario 3, IIS servers maliciously content to its legitimate visitors. IIS is used to proxy connections to the command and control. That's scenario 4. IIS servers manipulated HTTP reply to search for engine bots. A systematic analysis of attacks against Microsoft Internet Information Services, IIS, that's the web server for Microsoft, has revealed as many as 14 malware families, 10 of them newly documented, indicating that the Windows-based web server software continues to be a hotbed for native developed malware for close to 8 years. Findings were presented today by the ESET malware searcher at the Black Hat USA Security Conference. The various kinds of native malware identified are server-side malware, and the two things it can do best is first, see and intercept all communications to the server, and second, affect how the requests are processed. Hromcova told an interview with the Hacker News their motives range from cybercrime to espionage and a technique called SEO fraud. The government institutions in 3 Southeast Asian countries, a major telecommunication company in Cambodia, and a research institute in Vietnam, as well as a dozen of private companies in a range of industries located mostly in Canada, Vietnam, India, and the USA. New Zealand and South Korea are believed to be the targets of the IIS malware. The IIS is extensible web server software developed by Microsoft, enabling developers to take advantage of modular architecture to incorporate additional IIS modules that expand on its core functionality. It has come to no surprise that the same extensibility has attracted malware actors to intercept network traffic, steal sensitive data, or serve malware content. According to the white paper detailing the anatomy of diverse classes of threats, which operates by eavesdropping on and tampering with the server's communications. Moreover, it's quite rare for endpoint or other security software to run on IIS software, which makes it easier for attackers to operate unnoticed for a long period of time. This should be disturbing for all serious web portals that want to protect their visitors' data, including authentication and payment information. So at the top, it shows you parsing HTTP requests, classify the HTTP request, and as you process it, you go to those bad modules again: backdoor, infostellar, interject, proxy, SEO, no modular, and modifying HTTP requests. By collecting over 80 malware samples, the study grouped them in 14 unique families, grouping 1 through 14, most of which detected for the first time between 2018 and 2021 and are undergoing active development to this date. While they may not exhibit any connections to one another, what's common among all 14 families is that they are all developed as malicious native IIS modules. So once again, the 14 modules, as you see on the screen, backdoor and info stealer. Group 2 and 3 is backdoor. And group 5 is info stealer, backdoor. Then group 9 is proxy and SEO fraud. Group 10 is just SEO fraud. Then you have fraud and injector. Then the last one, group 14, is SEO fraud and injector. Right, so those are custom modules that you would download to add functionality to your website, and then boom, of course, you will be exfiltrated with data to there. So in case all the main purposes of IIS malware is to process HTTP requests incoming to a compromised server and affects how the server responds to some of these requests. How they're processed depend on malware type. The malware families has been found to operate in one of 5 modules. Once again, is the backdoor, remotely controlled compromised computer with IIS installed, interstellar mode, intercepts regular traffic between a compromised server and its legitimate visitor to steal information such as login credentials and payment information. Injector mode modifies HTTP requests into a legitimate visitor to serve malicious content. Proxy mode turns the compromised servers into an unwitting part of the command and control infrastructure for another malware family and rely on communication between the victims and its actual C2 server. SEO fraud mode modifies the content server search engine crawling in order to artificially boost ranking traffic for a selected website. Infection involving IIS malware typically hinge on the server's administration inadvertently installing a Trojanized version of the legitimate IIS module, or when the advisory is able to get access to the server by exploiting configuration weakness or vulnerability in the web server using to install the malware-laced IIS module. So that's what's on the picture. Legitimate visitor comes to the compromised server. The compromised server goes to the cache text, reply with legitimately. Then when you go through, the attacker in red comes through with an HTTP request, collects the data, exfiltrated on the cache text, and since it's coming out on regular web server traffic, you would never know that that box has been compromised. Indeed, after Microsoft released out-of-band patches for proxy login flaws affected by Microsoft Exchange Server 2013, 16, and 19 early this March, it was not long before multiple advanced persistent threats APT groups joined into attack frenzy, with ESET observing 4 email servers located in Asia, South America that was compromised to deploy the web shells that was served as a channel to install the IIS backdoor. So, to prevent compromise via servers, it's recommended that users use dedicated accounts with strong and unique password for administrative-related purposes. Install native IIS modules only from trusted sources. Reduce the attack surface by limiting the servers that are exposed to the internet. And use a web application firewall for extra layer of security. One of the most surprising aspects of the investigation is how versatile the IIS malware is and the detection of the SEO fraud criminal scheme, where malware is misused to manipulate search engine algorithms and help boost the reputation of third-party websites. We haven't seen anything like this before. Once again, Professor Black Ops, cybersecurity for the people. Check your Microsoft IIS servers.